All right, and that being said, let's shift our focus. Netflix's chilling new supernatural thriller Baramula dives deep into the valley's buried traumas, child kidnappings, family secrets, and the lingering scars of 2016 militancy that still demands justice. Listen in as the film's director and star cast open up in a candid conversation about the story, the setting, and the shadows that inspired this. Listen to this.
Tell me, what's with this Kashmir universe, Monal? Article 370, ठीक है, you got awards. फिर अच्छा कश्मीर में award मिल रहा है तो एक और स्टोरी मिलता है, ऐसा तो नहीं है?
So interestingly, we made Baramulla before Article 370.
Oh, okay.
So, but because of how complex the film is, how complex the narrative is, how complex the VFX is, it took a little more time for us to come out with Baramulla. I think it's just somehow it's divine coincidence that a bunch of people who have been interested in the subject of Kashmir. I mean, if I were to talk personally, my father is a retired Air Force officer. So my military background, growing up, Kashmir was something that was always around. I think Aditya Jamle sir will explain better why his interest in Kashmir was always there. And our producers are Kashmiri Pandits themselves. So this divine coincidence of so many people coming together and then us finding Kashmiri Pandit actress and Kashmiri, our lead actor also being Kashmiri.
Yeah.
So there's
Manav,
some divine play here, and Kashmir has so many stories, and as you can say, Article 370 and Baramulla are completely different genres. So lots to explore, and that draws us.
But the Aditya Dhar universe on Kashmir started with Uri, right? Yeah, was it?
I don't know how to call it.
But how did it start for you?
For me, it was like, as he mentioned, Baramulla was my first film. So every director wants to, as a director, I always wanted to make a mark. So that a film does leave some kind of an impact. Can the story or whatever you have tried to craft, can it stay with you for a longer time? So the only thing which I felt was I wanted to change or bend the genre in some way, because if you just place it in the horror trope, what has been done before and tested before, very safe, then it will not probably stay with you for a long. So the idea was to do something which is genre bending, and I think Kashmir gave the perfect setup for that. I think Baramulla was always the tagline, or I mean, it was always the title of the film. It was never like you could set the story anywhere else in India. So I think for a director, it's like a vardhan, getting something like that where you can do a film in Kashmir. And being a Goan, I always felt it was a great challenge for me to prove or make a statement that yes, I don't come from the valley, but yet I relate to it, and as a responsibility, I will deliver it in a certain way to best to my capacity. And the response, which is right now pretty evident, I'm really happy that the circle is closing so well for me in Kashmir.
And she's also part of this entire Kashmir universe. You must have seen her in Kashmir Files. Now it's Baramulla. So are you worried that I'm Kashmiri, so that doesn't mean I'll do only subjects on Kashmir?
Yeah, I hope to do more varied projects in future. But having said that, I think it rarely happens in the life of an actor that the motherland is choosing you to tell its own stories. I mean, मेरा इस फिल्म में होना, it's entirely divine coincidence, जैसा कि कश्मीर फाइल्स में होना है. But yes, the characters are different, stories different, treatment is different, and the team is different. Still, I am a part of two very important stories about Kashmir. That's a huge blessing that I think I have. And so talking about Kashmir, I think Kashmir actually, अगर हम सिनेमा के लेंस से बात करें तो it's always been a victim of its own beauty.
Yeah.
तो ब्यूटी के अलावा कुछ नहीं दिखाया जाता था कश्मीर में. दिस इज़ फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम दैट कश्मीर हैज़ बीन शोन टू कि it is suffering. Of course there are problems, but then what is the root cause of the problem, and the treatment is so different. So people were saying पहले कि it's horror, जबकि सच कहें तो it's only the truth is so horrific that it's termed horror. And the genocide, which is at the root of it, I think what can be more horrible than a genocide?
Yeah.
So that's why I think this treatment works so well, and it's been received so well. I'm very lucky to be part of this team.
The moment first up you said Baramulla, I watched the film, so I'm just saying, and for someone who's tracked Kashmir so closely as a journalist, there were 3-4 concepts which somewhere allowed me to figure out the plot. First is you said Baramulla, and then you showed a house, and the question asked is somebody had already lived there. That's what it showed when you opened. So my first guess was, all right, so we know what happened in Baramulla, so there could be a reference to that. Second, there is the whole presence of a supernatural element. So somewhere I said, okay, ghosts of the past. Is that a possibility? Third came this whole concept of Nanne Mujahid. So this is something which was an intelligence notes that we had accessed, and they said this is what is the most dangerous thing for Jammu and Kashmir, that they are catching them very, very young and indoctrinating them at their most impressionable, vulnerable age. And you touched upon that subject. So for me as a journalist, I was able to glean that. But I want to ask you as writers and makers, how did you stumble upon this? How did you get this thought? So between Monal and Aditya, you can take it.
I think it always came down from the fact, like you just clearly mentioned, while we always deal with the problem of Kashmir, or conflict in Kashmir, the attention is always given to the present problem. But what we don't realize is what is happening with the next generation right at the time when you're discussing that problem. That was the thought. And when we tried to find out more, research it more, visited Kashmir, that is being tapped on by the people who don't want the peace to be there. So the idea was always to tap on it because it's completely ignored. And if even the term that we have used, which is a right term, which is they used to be called diaper militants, it's something that is so horrific and so it is planned so well, in a way, where you try and affect their minds at the age where they are so vulnerable, and then afterwards, even if you find it out, it's so difficult to de-radicalize them. So the whole point was to tap in this in a way where we can talk about the future, the next generation, and at the same time, what supernatural element was giving us the way was the past, which is so horrific. They are spirits. You can call them shadows. You can call them different entities.